Welcome back. U.S. stocks soared to, that's why he's smiling. Stocks soared after the presidential race was called for Donald Trump. We're joined by Drew Kliber. He is the managing director of Wilde Wealth Management in Scottsdale. Good to see you.
Thank you. Nice to see you. Thank you for having me.
So the Dow surged to a record high today, best day since November of 22. How and why does an election affect Wall Street?
Well, I think yesterday, in the past 24 hours, it's been very interesting. So yesterday, we were on the verge of the unknown, right? The market hates the uncertainty of what's going to happen. And once we started seeing that Trump was probably going to pull ahead and win the election, you could see in the aftermarket, the futures really started to soar. Because we actually know what we're going to get with Trump. We had the 4 years. We know what his policies are going to look like. So that just spurred today's rally.
He's all about lower corporate tax rates, which probably was reflected on the street today, deregulation and tariffs. Does his economic policy stimulate the economy?
For sure. We'll start with the lower corporate taxes. That definitely is going to stimulate the economy. Right now, they're saying with the lower corporate taxes, earnings per share for most companies will be up roughly around 5%, which is a huge thing. And what do they do with that? They can reinvest it in their research and development. They can pay higher wages, hire more people, give dividends. All that kind of stuff comes back into the economy. The tariff thing, that's an interesting one because tariffs are an inflationary point where I think a lot of it may be more of a political positioning than maybe actually really coming to fruition. I think that will be an interesting play on how Trump is going to deal with that.
Are there any downsides to his economic policy?
Well, for sure the tariffs. If the tariffs go, that's going to be inflationary. And if we see inflationary, then the interest rates, I think, will stay stagnant or go higher from where we are today. So that's the little bit unknown with that tariff. As far as his stimulus packages, whether it be the lower corporate tax rates or I think he's very pro-business, and that's also stemming the rallies.
All right. He's also very big into crypto. What's that going to look like?
That I don't know. I kind of try to stay away from crypto because that's an industry that has so many unknowns for me out there that I'm not sure about that one. I know Bitcoin reached an all-time high today. I'm not saying it's an industry that is not good. I'm just saying that's one that I don't know too much about it in order to make an educated opinion on that one.
Does history tell us anything about one party holding control over not only the White House but also both houses of Congress?
For sure. You can go back 100 years and look back, well, almost 100 years, since 1933, a unified government has produced an annual rate of return 1 year after the election of 14.4%. It looks like we may or may not get the House. So if we have a split Congress, which I personally think is a little bit better because you have some checks and balances there.
Right.
That average annual rate of return a year after election is 13.7. So all of it's looking pretty good. There's a lot of tailwinds coming into these next few months and maybe the first quarter next year that are boding pretty well for the market. So pick your entry spots on down days.
So if I'm an investor and I'm watching this interview, what sectors are good to go to during this administration over the next 4 years?
Well, I think a lot of them, I call them the heavy stocks, right? So you got oil, drilling, banks had their best day.
You mean like drill, baby, drill?
Drill, baby, drill. Whether you agree with it or not, I think a lot of people need to take their political hat off and put their investor hat on. I mean, nobody's going into the stock market to lose money. So I think you have to take a step back, get rid of your emotions, and put your investor hat on. And as I said, if you're looking for the oils, you're looking for the drillers. Banks had their best day in 5 years today. Small caps, the Russell 2000 had a 5.23%, I think, gain today. That all bodes well for the kind of Trump trade, as they call it.
Elon Musk is a really interesting guy. He jumped in.
A lot of money today.
He jumped in, grabbed the coattails of Donald Trump, and never let go. Tesla soared today. How much of that is a reflection of his association with former president and now President-elect Donald Trump?
Well, that I don't know. I think he's strategically positioning himself there. I think one of the reasons why Tesla jumped so hard today was because the competitors of Tesla were relying a lot on the EV mandates and government subsidized things. So I think, Trump has already said those are probably going to go away. So that comes back to who are the major players, right? If your competition is out because their subsidies go away from the government, that, in my opinion, that leaves one, Tesla, maybe a couple others. And that's why it, was up, 33 points, I believe, today.
We know the market can be really fickle. So we saw this enormous gain today. Do you think that this is sustainable based on the love for the next administration, or will we continue to see some volatility?
I think we'll continue to see a little bit of volatility until we kind of figure out what the House is going to look like. But I think the tailwinds, as I said, going into the end of the year, and maybe even the first quarter, because the fear of the unknown is gone. I think if you can make some money here going into the end of the year and through the first quarter, you're going to have to pick down days, but sitting on cash right now on the sidelines is probably not a good idea.
All right, so the old adage that cash is king may not apply.
Cash is king when we had 5% interest rates, but rates are, at least on the interest rates, are going down a little bit. And if you're making 5% in a day versus 5% in a year, that's a big difference.
Big difference. Hey, thanks for coming down tonight.
You're very welcome. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Good to see you and good insight. Kliber?